Thank you. I'm just going to take your blood pressure if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do my blood pressure any day.
Okay.
What time are you on till tonight?
Oh, I'm working the PM shift, so I'm here till about 10 o'clock.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. What time's your break?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. We're not really, planning our breaks. Just depends how busy it gets.
Of course.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, so it's just pumping up now.
So, what do you do outside of being a nurse, bro?
To tell you the truth, I'm fair too busy, so I just nurse, really.
Oh. So no time for a boyfriend then?
Oh, I don't think that's appropriate to talk about.
Oh, why not? That's just interested.
So what have you been doing in here today?
I literally just laying. I can't do much. My spine, it's really rocking me and get really, really bored. I'm just getting really agitated and really anxious and always really angry. And I think actually you could probably help me. You might be able to buy me some alcohol or something. We could hide it, and I might be able to relax a bit more. It might help me get through all this pain and stuff. It might actually help me out. Do you reckon you could help us or?
James, I don't think it was appropriate for you to ask me to get you something that we're actually not allowed on hospital grounds. I understand that you're going through a lot and you've been here for quite some time, but I think I'm going to go and speak to my nurse at the moment and, put down your observations in the chart and we'll have to go from there, okay?
All right.
Hi, Lauren. I've got a few concerns. Do you have time now for a chat?
Of course, Brooke. Let's go to my office. We'll have a chat.
So debriefing is a simple yet effective and powerful tool when it's utilised properly by those involved in a particular situation or event. It enables individuals to share and examine a particular event and reflect upon what's been said or what actions were taken, as well as the repercussions of these actions. As a whole, debriefing is essential for enhancing one's knowledge or performance in a particular field of expertise. The debriefing around our group presentation was for individual and group development. It was to understand the feelings and perspectives of both the patient and the nurse, and understand the importance of boundary setting in a healthcare environment.
So we chose to use the debrief model ORIG, which stands for Objective, Reflective, Interpretive and Decisional. We chose this model as we found it was easy to use and in-depth enough to cover all the bases we needed for our thorough debrief on our clinical setting. It allowed us to reflect and interpret on our experiences on our allocated scene, which was boundary setting. Objectives stands for the facts that we know about the situation. Reflective is looking back on the situation and recalling the main points. Interpretive is about how we each experienced the scene and what we thought about it, how it affected us. Decisional is what we can now take away from the scene and use for our future practice in the healthcare setting. So our role play was based around boundary setting, where we were given a scenario of a 23-year-old male patient. He had been injured after a night out drinking with friends and had given himself a spinal injury. He was in hospital for over 2 months, wasn't happy with his surgeon or his circumstances, was getting quite agitated being in there and not being able to do the things he was used to be doing. He started making inappropriate comments towards a female student nurse. So this is what we view and debrief in our scenario.
So what are some of the things we did in this activity, the object stage? We outlined the scenario at the beginning. We then introduced everyone and showed some fast forward scenes to build the therapeutic relationship between James and Brooke. This allowed for us to show that there was inappropriate interactions on James' behalf towards Brooke and her awkward reactions and her discomfort in this. We then played a scene where James was asking inappropriate questions to Brooke about her personal life and her weekends, and you saw Brooke awkwardly try to redirect the conversation as to what James has been doing in the hospital and, how does he feel about that? And this then allows James to open up and share that he is feeling a little bit, lonely and bored and things along those lines, where Brooke could listen and think, we need to be able to do something. But him then asking Brooke to get him some alcohol was quite inappropriate and violated the boundary. And so Brooke had to, the best way she could, being a student nurse and feeling a bit out of her depth, was to set that boundary and allow James to know that that was inappropriate. So after Brooke set her boundary, she then went to her mum to explain to her what had happened and if she could help her out. And so they went down to her office, they spoke about it, they spoke about the fact that it is inappropriate and that what Brooke did was correct by setting that boundary, and that as nurses have a certain standard to uphold, and we need to be able to make that clear with our patients respectfully within the therapeutic relationship and not damaging that for any future interactions. And so, So upon reflection, we realised that this scenario is an awkward situation that you would be stuck in, but it's also a very relevant one because it's most likely to happen at some point in our careers. And so we found as though it was awkward and the comments were awkward and it made us feel uncomfortable, but it was a learning curve to be able to see how we would deal with a situation like this. And so being propositioned, Brooke did feel like she was definitely out of her depth, and James as well may have also been out of his depth, feeling as this is not the usual scenario he's in. He's usually out partying rather than being in a hospital. So he doesn't know that what he's saying and what he's doing is a violation of a boundary. And so that was the importance of setting the boundary we found. So interpretive stage, how might this exercise relate to the real world? As mentioned before, it's completely relevant because it can happen. You have people with long admissions, they get, too comfortable, and you have student nurses and you've got, that learning gap there where they might not have all the communication skills just yet to be able to handle a situation like this. And so when the student was able to go to her NUM and find out and learn from this, it was a very realistic situation because there have been numerous scenarios that we've all been in where we've had to go to someone higher than us to be able to understand and to be able to learn, how to deal with a certain situation. During the decisional stage, how we apply what we've learned from this exercise in the real world. We will definitely use it because, like I said, it is a situation that may arise and it might even be more aggressive than the one that we have portrayed here. But it's ongoing learning in a nursing career, so we need to adapt our effective communication and our ability to set those boundaries, and to set those boundaries early, so then the rest of the admission or the care of this person on your shift even is, smooth, and you're able to meet all your objectives as well as meeting the patient's needs. And so that's why we feel as though this is extremely important, and that we will, continue to communicate effectively and to look to our peers when in need